Lane camera unit safety shield systems. The lane camera unit is mounted above the inside rearview mirror. Now this monitors the lane markers in the travel lane and transmits this data to the ADAS control unit via the ITS network. Remember when we talked about test drives and we said sometimes it might be required to do it on a road that has lane markings? This would be an example of why. Now in some vehicles, a single lane camera can also detect the presence of pedestrians in the lane ahead, and it can detect the amount of light ahead of the vehicle. Now in the 2016 Infiniti Q60, 3-liter vehicles, and also some of your newer, larger SUVs, they will also use a second lane camera to perform a pedestrian detection and ambient light detection. So Jake, a lot of complicated terms here. What do we mean?
Well, you got that second lane camera as found on some of the larger SUVs. You will also have a second target. So there's a different target for that second camera. So really critical to make sure you have the special service tools when you encounter that second lane jammer.
Now keep in mind, if you're in Tech Info and you see the acronym SST, Jake, what does that stand for?
Special service tools.
Special service tool. That means that's something that you can get directly from Nissan that's for that specific vehicle. Lane camera safety shield systems. The lane camera unit is directly or indirectly responsible for the operation of the following safety shield systems, such as LDW, which Jake stands for,
Lane departure warning.
or the LDP, which is,
Lane departure prevention.
and then we have ProPilot Assist, pedestrian detection, and HBA, which is.
High beam assist.
So ladies and gentlemen, it's really important that we understand how these features work. Jake, do you have any insights on any of these features?
Well, they do sound a lot alike. So you've got lane departure warning does sound a lot like lane departure prevention. One system just actually alerts me of a warning. That's it. It just tells me that I'm departing the lane. The other system actually prevents me from departing the lane.
Okay, so Jake, if I think back to the beginning of this class, when we were working with the students, there were 3 rings. And in those 3 rings, I'm just wondering, does some of these features fall into those 3 rings?
Yes. So if you look at lane departure warning, that's just monitoring and alerting, right?
That's
Saying
the first ring.
That's the first ring. So it's just watching the road conditions and alerting the driver, and that's it. You get into lane departure prevention, now I'm going to protect. Now the vehicle says, okay, you've departed the lane, I'm going to prevent you from doing so. So it's protecting.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I'm hoping that you're starting to understand how all these things kind of connect together really to those 3 rings that we talked about in the beginning of the class. Now, the lane departure warning, or LDW, is a camera-based warning system that alerts the driver of lane departure. Key word here is it alerts. The lane camera sends the ADAS control unit lane marker and vehicle lane position information, and then the ADAS control unit determines if alerts are necessary. Now, alert again could be like a chime or a beep, correct, Jake?
Correct.
Now, you'll see that this LDW is only active when the feature is turned on through the navigation unit and the vehicle speed is 45 miles an hour or more. Now, when the vehicle approaches either side of the travel lane, a warning sounds, and the lane departure warning lamp and the combination meter, which is located in the dash,
Yep.
will then start to blink. Warnings are not presented if the turn signal is activated. Warnings also cease or stop when the vehicle returns inside of the lane markers. Jake, have you experienced any of these on your personal Nissan?
I have, and you know, for the drivers that don't like to use their turn signal, this will be the system that will annoy them the most. So it's one of those that you'll commonly find has been turned off. If people don't use their turn signals, they get annoyed by this and they turn the system off. So as a repairer, you need to check to make sure it's turned on before you can validate whether it's working properly.
Okay, great. So Jake, can you tell me a little bit about the lane departure prevention, or LDP?
Yeah, so kind of part 2 of lane departure warning. Now this thing will prevent you from actually departing the lane. So you'll feel steering inputs or even braking inputs from the vehicle to keep you in the lane.
Okay, so again, the LDP is the intervention portion. So when we go back to those 3 rings, as students, I'd like you to think about which section of that ring would it be in. Now, remember, it uses the lane camera to detect lane markers. That's, again, when we talk about test drives or action tests, we make sure we do it under the right circumstances, right? You know, the right road conditions. Now, LDP operation. This operates when the feature is turned on and the vehicle is moving at speeds of 45 miles an hour or more. You notice that the LDP does not intervene if the turn signal is activated, which is what Jake talked about a few moments ago. So I'm guessing if people just kind of change lanes without a turn signal, it thinks they're kind of drifting into the other lane, and it's
Right.
warning them, right?
That's right.
So that's why a lot of people may turn it off. And that's why it's important, during the check-in process of the vehicle, Jake, I'm thinking not only do we need to know what their radio presets are, but what presets they had on these features. Now keep in mind, when intervention is needed, the ADAS control unit activates the warning buzzer, which again sends a warning lamp signal to the meter located in the where, Jake?
Right behind the steering wheel.
Right behind the steering wheel in the gauge cluster,
Yep.
and transmits the necessary signal to the ABS control unit, which then helps to steer or bring the vehicle back into its lane.
Yep.
In addition, some vehicles will use a shaker motor in the steering wheel to warn the driver of lane departure. This is something referred to as the haptic feature. So Jake, I have to tell you, I always wondered what or how did that steering wheel know to shake my hands? How did it know? Can you tell us, Jake, what is the haptic feature? What does it mean, and how does the steering wheel know if our hands are on there?
Yeah, well, remember that some consumers might have the radio blaring and they may not hear the chime, or they may not be paying attention and see the light flickering on the dash. Hey, you're departing the lane. So Nissan and Infiniti vehicles, some of them have a shaker motor in the column that will actually vibrate and alert you that way as well.
Okay, great. So, ladies and gentlemen, new term, haptic feature. If you're not sure what that means, please have a sidebar discussion with your instructor.
So pedestrian detection. Only certain models within the Nissan Infiniti lineup actually have pedestrian detection. Remember, there is a second target involved if you're doing a calibration on that camera. So if equipped, the lane camera includes logic that can identify the shapes of pedestrians in front of the vehicles, and that includes children, mid-sized adults, whatever it might be. Doesn't detect the deer that some of you may be asking. It only detects pedestrians. If the driver does not respond, emergency braking is performed automatically. So high beam assist. Perhaps my most favorite feature of my new Titan is the high beam assist. When the vehicle's headlight control is set in the auto setting, the high beams will automatically illuminate when low light conditions are detected. So think of the dark country road maybe you live on and there's no street lights or whatever it might be, the high beams will automatically come on. It also detects vehicles in front, the tail lights of a vehicle in front of you. You don't want to be blinding a driver that you're approaching. It can also detect street lights. So if there's street lights lining the road, it will dim the lights and turn the high beams off. And it does it very quickly and seamlessly. You don't even hear it click. It literally just comes on or off. And Mike, when that high beam assist actually sees an oncoming vehicle's headlight using the lane camera, it can dim the high beam assist and turn the high beams off.
That's an incredible feature. Now remember, if you're trying to figure out how to verify or validate that these systems are working as they are intended, where are the two places we can go? Tech Info and the Owner's Manual. And remember, the Owner's Manuals can always be accessed through the drop-down menu in Tech Info, where we select the Service Manual. Right below that, you'll see the Owner's Manual opportunity. We're now going to set you up to prepare you for a hands-on exercise with your instructor. In a few moments, your instructor is going to ask you to get a flashlight out of your toolbox. You will then go to your assigned vehicle and you're going to shine the flashlight from the outside of the windshield into where the rearview mirror is, and you're going to be looking at the camera. Now, when you look at this camera, what you're looking for is a very specific kind of image. Jake, can you share with them what they're looking for?
Well, Mike, this is a common occurrence that we see in collision repair shops. Remember that glass operations in a lot of cases are sublet. They're relying on a third party to put the glass in for them, right? So what you're seeing on the left-hand side is what good looks like. You want to see the whole camera on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, you're seeing a camera module that is not properly installed in the camera bracket. So remember, when they're changing the windshield, they're swapping the camera from one windshield to another windshield, and sometimes it's easy to misinstall, not properly install the camera.
So you're going to, again, break from this content from Jake and I, and your instructor is going to ask you to get the flashlight out of your toolbox and look through the windshield. We're wishing you well on this exercise.